Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight. Your one stop for the day's top stories. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs recommends dates for winter session of Parliament, the month-long session to start from the 16th of November to the 16th of December. The first ever BRICS trade ministers' meeting starts in Delhi. India, Brazil, China, Russia and South Africa to adopt framework for cooperation on economic issues. Muslim Personal Law Board rejects law panel's questionnaire on the Uniform Civil Code, accuses central government of trying to nullify Islamic law. US military launches cruise missile strikes to knock out 3 radar sites controlled by Iran-aligned Houthi forces in Yemen. Strikes represent Washington's first direct military action against the rebels. And Republican nominee Donald Trump's campaign for the US presidency suffers another setback. Several women publicly accuse him of inappropriate sexual contact. Top story this evening, the winter session of Parliament could be held from the 16th of November to the 16th of December. The government is looking at an early session to help the central GST and integrated GST legislations to be approved within November or latest by early December. The recommendation was made at a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs chaired by Home Minister Rajnath Singh. In fact, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs also met earlier on Thursday and approved the setting up of an Indian Institute of Management in Jammu, among other projects. The project will cost 61.90 crore rupees. Till 2020, it will have a temporary campus. The announcement of the establishment of the IIM Jammu comes as part of the PM's development package for the state of Jammu and Kashmir. In an all-party meeting in August this year, Prime Minister had announced a development package of more than 80,000 crore rupees to the state. Among other approvals that the cabinet cleared were the redevelopment of residential colonies at West Ansari Nagar and Ayurvigyan Nagar campuses of AIIMS in New Delhi. The cabinet also approved signing of a memorandum of understanding between India and Hungary on cooperation in water management. The CCEA also approved an MOU between India and Russia on expansion of bilateral trade and economic cooperation. And this even as the Vice President, Hamid Ansari, inaugurated the first BRICS trade fair in the national capital on Thursday. He said that the BRICS bloc makes the benefits of globalization accessible to a larger number of people. He also stressed the need to increase trade in each other's currency and promote information exchange.
As the 5 emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa come together to energize their economic partnership, Vice President Hamid Ansari feels the group represents a shift in the global political economy and global governance issues. The Vice President also underscored the need for BRICS countries to create a business-friendly environment for investors and a liberalized trade in services.
We need to foster the liberalization of trade in services, especially in promoting movement of people for commercial activity, both with BRICS and globally. The proposal for a BRICS visa on a long-term basis for genuine travelers is one such effort aimed at stimulating greater economic activity by enhanced mobility of our entrepreneurs.
The Vice President pointed out that BRICS nations account for 43% of the world's population. Together, they also represent the dynamism, the growth and the future of world trade. He also emphasized that these economies need to translate their growth into inclusive economic development.
We recognize the importance of balanced global trade for mutual prosperity. Trade and investment are 2 priority areas of cooperation emphasized in the BRICS Trade and Investment Cooperation Framework.
Trade ministers of all BRICS nations also focused on economic partnership through enhanced trade and investment opportunities.
BRICS countries complement each other's economies. They are also major resource suppliers to the entire world Globalization has altered the world dynamics significantly since the end of the Cold War.
We will work together to inject new vitality into the gold content of the BRICS cooperation mechanism.
The BRICS Trade Fair this year was held on the theme of innovation for collaboration. The fair will focus on startups and bring together young entrepreneurs from across BRICS countries. It will also showcase the potential of the BRICS nations in about 20 key sectors. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Finance Minister Arun today expressed concern over increasing protectionist tendencies in developed economies spreading to other parts of the world. Jaitley's comments came days after the International Monetary Fund urged policymakers to support global growth by resisting protectionist forces. Addressing a gathering of finance officials of the BRICS group of emerging nations in Mumbai, Jaitley singled out Britain's vote to leave the European Union as well as the aggressive campaign against trade deals in the US presidential election. He, however, hoped that fears about free trade will subside once the US presidential elections are over. The finance minister also hinted at more liberalization measures to insulate the economy from global slowdown.
There are trends in the world today which on the surface do indicate that the world is increasingly moving towards, at least that part of the developed world is moving towards protectionism. These worries are real. And they are real because of the fact that if developed countries see a trend of protectionism, the spillover impact of those policies on other parts of the world could be extremely adverse. And therefore, we'll have to keep our fingers crossed this time and hope that the tenor of free trade returns back once the heat of elections itself is over.
India's consumer price index or retail inflation eased to 4.31% in September as against 5.05% in August and 4.41% in September 2015. Rural CPI in September stood at 4.96% as against 5.87% in August and 5.05% during the same period last year. Urban CPI in September stood at 6.64% as compared to 4.22% in August and 3.61% in September 2015. Analysts were expecting a fall in inflation in the wake of food prices softening over the past few months. Meanwhile, stock markets plunged on Thursday owing to a number of factors, the top among them being the rate hike signals from the US Fed Reserve. India's latest IIP figures released on Monday also helped spook markets. So the benchmark Sensex plunged over 439 points to slip below its crucial support level of 28,000. The Nifty, in fact, slipping below 8,600 as well, weighed down by losses in realty, power, metal, banks and auto stocks. The Sensex fell to its lowest level in 3 months as investors trimmed their bets after the minutes of the US Federal Reserve's September meeting indicated a possible rate hike this year. Caution ahead of key quarterly results dragged down heavyweights in financial, technology and industrial sectors. Weak Chinese data also hurt the markets. China's September trade data showed a sharp decline in exports, raising fresh concerns about the health of the world's second biggest economy, prompting a fall in Asian markets. Now, another one of our headline stories, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board and other Muslim bodies today announced a boycott of the Law Commission's exercise to seek inputs for a uniform civil code. The Muslim bodies have accused the government of waging an internal war against the community. Here's a detailed report.
Days after the Law Commission released a questionnaire seeking responses from the public on the Uniform Civil Code, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board on Thursday accused the central government of trying to nullify Islamic law. The board rejected the questionnaire, saying that multiplicity of cultures needs to be respected.
जो सवालनामा उनको निष्पक्ष होकर करना चाहिए था, वो सवालनामा निष्पक्ष न होकर वन साइडेड हो गया है। इसलिए हम लोगों ने इसके बाइकाट का फैसला किया। जहां तक ताल्लुक यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड का है, हम सब लोगों की एक राय है कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड इस मुल्क के लिए किसी तरह मुनासिब नहीं है।
Other Muslim groups also supported the Muslim Personal Law Board, accusing the Modi government of trying to destroy the nation's plurality.
धर्मों के विरुद्ध अधर्मियों का षड्यंत्र है, इसको हम कामयाब नहीं होंगे।
I
support the statement of the Secretary Muslim Personal Law Board that these type of actions create a mistrust among the communities and will lead to different forums being invoked, courts being invoked. Instead of that, if the government of India is serious about the issue, let them draft a law on the stand that they are taking one nation, one law. Let them draft a comprehensive law like they have done for the education bill and put it in public domain and then talk about it.
Women's rights activists, however, supported the government, calling for a reform of the Muslim personal law that discriminates against women.
The Personal Law Board does not speak for all Muslims all over the country. We, the Muslim women, are going to fight for our Quranic rights. We, the Muslim women, are going to fight for our rights as citizens of India.
The government's stand against the contentious custom remains clear.
हम डेमोक्रेसी पर विश्वास करने वाले लोग हैं, लोकतंत्र पर विश्वास करने वाले लोग हैं, इसीलिए हमने ओपन इस पे बहस की बात कही है, इस पे चर्चा की बात कही है, तथ्यों और तर्कों के साथ अपनी बात को सभी लोगों को रखना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये इशू जो है वो कोई आज का इशू नहीं है, बहुत बार है। तमाम ऐसे देश हैं जिन देशों ने कि इसमें रिफॉर्म किए हैं, जो इस्लामिक देश हैं उन्होंने भी कई रिफॉर्म किए हैं। तो रिफॉर्म तो हमेशा समाज को बेहतर रास्ते पे ले जाने का में मददगार रहा है।
The Law Commission's questionnaire asked stakeholders and general public the relevance and need for a uniform civil code. In addition, Commission Chairman Justice B.S. Chauhan has also sought feedback on the impact of such a code on women's development, triple talaq, polygamy and other issues. All suggestions and views need to be submitted within 45 days. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now to Kerala, where buses and auto rickshaws were off roads in the wake of the 12-hour statewide bandh called by the BJP in the state. The party is protesting against the brutal killing of a 25-year-old party activist in Pinnarai in Kannur district 2 days ago. The statewide shutdown was total as violent incidents were reported from various places, with party workers suffering injuries in clashes. BJP activist Hamid was hacked to death in the hometown of Kerala Chief Minister Pinnarai Vijayan on Wednesday. The incident took place within 48 hours of the murder of a CPIM activist by a 6-member gang at Pathriyad in Kannur district. Over 2,000 police personnel have been deployed in Kannur. The police have registered cases against 10 CPIM workers in connection with the attack on Hamid. A special squad has also been formed to investigate the case. Meanwhile, the centre has asked the Kerala government to provide details of the incident and the steps taken to nab and punish those responsible for the crime. The Home Minister also asked the state government for a report on the steps taken for the security of political workers in the state.
മുഖ്യമന്ത്രി വെറും പാർട്ടിക്കാരനല്ല. പാർട്ടിയുടെ നേതാക്കന്മാർ പാർട്ടിയുടെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ വേണ്ടി പറയുകയും പ്രവർത്തിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നത് മനസ്സിലാക്കാം. ഈ രാജ്യത്തിലെ ജനങ്ങളുടെ മുഴുവൻ സുരക്ഷിതത്വം ഉറപ്പുവരുത്താൻ ചുമതലയുള്ള ആളാണ്. അതിനുവേണ്ടി നിശ്ചയിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള മുഖ്യമന്ത്രിയുടെ ചുമതല അത് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. അതിനു പകരം പാർട്ടിക്കാരനെ പോലെ പാർട്ടിയുടെ അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ അടുത്തുള്ള ആൾക്കാർ പറയണത് ഓരോരോ കുടുംബത്തിൽ ഒരു തിരി പോലും ബാക്കി വെക്കില്ലെന്ന് പറയണത് കുടുംബത്തിൽ.
And here are some more national news updates in Nationwide. In a late-night operation in Bhuj town, the Gujarat anti-terrorist squad nabbed 2 suspected ISI agents allegedly involved in sending sensitive information about movement of Army and BSF troops to their Pakistan-based handlers. The 2 men were identified as Allana Hamid Sama and his associate Shakur Sumra. An FIR under various sections of Official Secrets Act and the Indian Penal Code was registered against the accused today. Curfew remain in force today in interior areas of Srinagar as a precautionary measure, even as normal life remain affected in the valley for the 97th day. According to a police official, curfew remains in force in 5 police station areas in downtown Srinagar. He also said that security forces have been deployed in sensitive areas to maintain law and order. CBI today registered 3 cases to probe incidents of violence and arson during the Jat Kota agitation in Rohtak in February, including the burning of the residence of Haryana Finance Minister Captain Abhimanyu. CBI spokesperson said that the agency took over the investigation in these cases on the request of the Haryana government and further orders from the Department of Personnel and Training. The Election Commission will visit Punjab from the 23rd to the 25th of October to review the preparations for elections. During its 3-day visit, the Election Commission will meet Punjab government, civil servants and police officers in Chandigarh. Commission will also meet representatives of political parties. With a quick break here, we'll be back with the international news in a bit. Stay with us.
Nanotechnology, I think, is something that is going to affect all of us for a simple reason that it's getting into all other technology. We started nanotoxicology, looking at the adverse effects of nanomaterials way back in 2005. We're the first to do that in this country. And since then, we've been looking at various commercially important materials. We also came out with a policy document on the safe handling of these nanomaterials in the laboratory.
Watch Eureka with Professor Alok Dhawan only on Rajya Sabha television.
That clock ticked through the night. So much happened as you slept. So much you missed.
Wake up to a complete roundup of news from India and abroad. Politics, strategy, business, sports. Keen analysis to kickstart your day. Watch Breakfast News weekdays at 8 a.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get to international news now. And the United Nations General Assembly today formally appointed Antonio Guterres as the new Secretary General of the United Nations. Guterres will be the 9th Secretary General of the 193-member world body for the next 5 years, starting 1st January 2017. 67-year-old Guterres will replace Ban Ki-moon of South Korea. Ban will step down at the end of 2016 after having served 2 terms. Guterres was the Prime Minister of Portugal from 1995 to 2002 and served as the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees from 2005 to 2015. The US Navy retaliated on Thursday to its warship being targeted allegedly by Houthi rebels in Yemen. The US Navy hit 3 radar sites in the region controlled by the Houthis, terming the strikes as self-defense, but the rebels have denied targeting the US warship.
The US hit radar sites in Yemen early on Thursday in a possible retaliation to a US warship being targeted in the Red Sea. The Pentagon termed the strike as self-defense. The US strikes came after missiles targeted the USS Mason off the coast of Yemen on Sunday and again on Wednesday. Both times, however, they missed the target and hit the water instead. The Pentagon says the missiles were fired from Houthi-controlled territory in Yemen. The Houthis are in control of much of Yemen, including capital Sana'a. However, Houthi rebels have denied that their forces targeted the US warship. The 3 sites targeted on Thursday by the US were in remote areas, hopefully avoiding civilian casualties or collateral damage. Initial assessments by the US Navy indicate all 3 targets were destroyed. The US has been at the center of the crisis in Yemen, backing a Saudi-led coalition against Houthi rebels to prevent them from taking over the country. Cracks have appeared in that alliance as well after the US said it was re-evaluating its support after an airstrike blamed on the coalition killed at least 155 people at a funeral home in Sana'a. The coalition started the military campaign in Yemen last year after Houthis drove out the US-backed government, taking over the capital. The conflict has killed about 10,000 Yemenis so far, leaving millions in need of aid. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now to the US, where presidential nominee Donald Trump has plunged deeper into trouble as he faces a series of allegations of inappropriate sexual contact following claims from several women. Although Trump's campaign denies the allegations, the claims have only damaged his reputation further.
As the date of the US presidential election draws near, Republican nominee Donald Trump's troubles are also mounting. In the latest episode, several women have now accused Trump of inappropriate sexual contact. 2 women said that the Republican presidential candidate had groped or kissed them forcibly, with the others making a similar claim. Added to Trump's recent misogynist comments being unearthed, outrage among the people is only rising.
Misogynistic, self-serving billionaire to have power to rule over our bodies, to make decisions that will have dangerous consequences for our lives and our communities, whose hate speech will continue to stoke violence against us, against women of all colors, and against my Muslim, black, and brown brothers and sisters. It's Trump versus all of us. Unendorsed Donald Trump.
Trump's campaign, though, has rejected the claims, calling them fictitious. In a public letter, his camp threatened the New York Times newspaper with legal action for carrying the story, calling the article defamatory and a politically motivated effort to defeat his candidacy. Trump's opponent and Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton called Trump an equal opportunity insulter while campaigning in Las Vegas. Clinton asked voters to reject the dark, divisive and hateful campaign run by Trump.
We now know, we've heard for months what he thinks about people, how he treats people. You know, this latest incident about, how he treats women. Well, he's doubled down. He doubled down on his excuse that it's just locker room talk. And I got to tell you, after he said that in the last debate, the most amazing thing happened. Athletes and coaches started speaking out.
Trump, meanwhile, continued to attack Hillary over the hacked email controversy, calling her corrupt.
While she was Secretary of State, she lost or disappeared almost $6 billion. Does anyone know that? No. How do you lose $6 billion? Even Chelsea Clinton, in the WikiLeaks emails where it shows, expressed, quote, serious concerns about conflicts of interest at the Clinton Foundation and the State Department. Americans have had it with the years and decades of Clinton corruption. It's corruption. Whitewater.
The latest allegations against Trump come less than a week after a video shot in 2005 emerged showing him making obscene remarks about groping women. He apologized for the comments, which were widely condemned, but described them as locker room talk. Following the video, a string of Republican officials and office holders have distanced themselves from his campaign. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
US singer Bob Dylan has been awarded the 2016 Nobel Prize for Literature. The 75-year-old rock legend was awarded the prize for creating new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition. The singer and occasional actor is the first songwriter to win the prestigious award and also the first American since novelist Toni Morrison in 1993. Dylan had long been tipped as a potential prize recipient, but few experts expected the Academy to extend the award to a genre such as folk rock music. Dylan was born Robert Allen Zimmerman in 1941 and began his musical career in 1959, taking his stage name from the poet Dylan Thomas. And now let's get you some more international news updates in Global Buzz. Thailand's king Bhumibol Adulyadej has died at the age of 88. The king was in poor health for a long time and had been spending his last years in a Bangkok hospital. During a reign that spanned 70 years, the US-born Bhumibol became much more than Thailand's constitutional monarch. The royal palace said Bhumibol died in a peaceful state. Ten more armed attackers were killed in Myanmar's western Rakhine state on Wednesday during a government operation aimed at clearing terrorist assailants from the Kietiopen village. The government troops have detained several armed men who are currently under interrogation. A legal challenge to the British government's right to formally begin Brexit without parliamentary approval is underway. The High Court will consider whether ministers can invoke Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty, which is the trigger for formal talk without MPs passing a new law. Prime Minister Theresa May has said that she will activate Article 50 to formally notify the EU of the UK's intention to leave by the end of next March. Chinese President Xi Jinping is in Phnom Penh for a state visit to Cambodia. The visit aims at further solidifying the traditional friendship between the two countries and deepen their comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership. The two countries are looking forward to reach a series of cooperation deals to align their development strategies and boost their practical cooperation. After Cambodia, Xi is slated to visit Bangladesh and then India. Hurricane Nicole, which is on track to hit Bermuda, strengthened into a Category 3 hurricane on Wednesday. The core of Nicole is expected to pass near or over the island on Thursday. Hurricanes reaching Category 3 and higher have a potential to cause significant damage. Nicole is expected to produce total rain accumulations of 4 to 8 inches over Bermuda throughout Thursday. And let's change tracks, get you all the latest from the world of sports in Sports Beat. Indian batsman Suresh Raina will miss the first ODI between India and New Zealand after being down with viral fever. Raina was chosen for the first 3 ODIs after injuries to Shikhar Dhawan and Lokesh Rahul helped him return to the national side after a year. BCCI has not named a replacement as yet. World number 1 Novak Djokovic reached the quarterfinal of the Shanghai Masters with a straight sets victory over Canada's Vasek Pospisil. The number one seeded beat Pospisil 6-4, 6-4 to set up a match with Germany's Misha Zverev. Andy Murray also progressed to the quarterfinals of the Shanghai Masters with a straight sets victory over Frenchman Lucas Pouille. In fact, Murray won 6-1, 6-3. However, 5th seeded Canadian Milos Raonic was ousted by Jack Sock of the United States 6-love, 4-6, 6-7. British boxer Tyson Fury has vacated his WBO and WBA World Heavyweight titles to completely focus on his medical treatment and recovery. The 28-year-old has not fought since beating Ukrainian Vladimir Klitschko to win the titles in November 2015 and has since admitted taking cocaine to battle depression. And that's all we have for you in the news tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.